But when I look at one of those guitars, it's like that. I can smell horse manure. It's just I smell horse poop.
Obviously, you know, you are a vocalist, but you play the guitar as well. So when did the guitar come into this journey for you? How did you discover the guitar?
I discovered the guitar on an afternoon playing out back with my little brother. We were listening to the radio, and I knew I liked guitar music, but it wasn't until I heard, I think first eruption into "Girl You Really Got Me" came on by Van Halen, and then a few hours later, "Whole Lotta Love" came on by Zeppelin. So that was the afternoon that kind of decided my life in a lot of ways, because both Eddie and Jimmy Page, what they had, their ability as these character guitar players who also had a certain amount of technical expertise and this ability to emote, really connected with me. It was just like, whatever that is, whatever I'm hearing, I must try and attain a little bit of that to be, to try and be a happy human being.
Where did it get? And so then what were you like, went to your mum and you were like, oh my God, I need a guitar, how did it start?
So, okay. Let's see I do have it. Awesome. Okay.
You haven't got your first guitar, have you?
You know what? I do just so happen. Let me just grab this real quick. Because this, I've never ever, no one's ever seen this.
Myles.
All right. So my biological father, who was a lot of the inspiration behind Year of the Tiger, he was a musician. Now, he was a very talented musician from what I understand, but chose not to become a professional musician because he was a smart guy. He understood that it would be very difficult to provide for his family, so he became like an early computer programmer. This was way back in the 60s, this was before computer programming was a thing. So he had started, just in his spare time, he wanted to learn how to play guitar because he played the viola. So he was like, well, I would like to learn to play guitar. So he got this instrument, and this is it right here. It's called an Estrada. I think it's just a student model nylon string classical guitar. And this is, from what my mom said, I would just sit and watch him. He'd sit on the bed, and I'd just sit there and watch him as he tried, learned how to play it. So after he passed away, it was sitting in a closet, I think. And not too long after I heard that afternoon where I heard, Eruption and then Whole Lotta Love, I found this in a closet, and I asked my mom, what is this? And he said, that was your father's guitar. So I was like, okay, well, let's see if we can do with this. So yeah, I spent quite a bit of time. This was technically the first guitar that I tried to learn on. Now, my first electric guitar, that actually got stolen, and the story with that particular instrument is that when my mom remarried my father Glenn, or my, I like to call him my second dad. He's amazing, and he made a deal with me because we had a few horses, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, son, I know you want this electric guitar, but I'm not just going to go buy one for you. So I'm going to give you $1 for every horse stall that you clean. Now, so that's cleaning horse manure. Okay. And by that point, I'm 14, something like that. And the guitar I coveted was this weird, it was kind of like this total metal looking Ibanez from the 80s. It was a cool guitar. And it cost, at the time, I think it was $350. So that's a lot of stalls at $1 a stall. He's a smart man. He understood how to get more bang for your buck. I would guess that today there would be some child labor thing where he'd get in a lot of trouble. But so I cleaned stalls. I cleaned, obviously, hundreds of stalls at $1 a pop. And to this day, when I see a picture of that guitar, I actually recently found one on Reverb and bought it, and I'm going to kind of get it back to its, because Like I said, the original one was stolen. But when I look at one of those guitars, it's like that. I can smell horse manure. It's just I smell horse poop.
Brilliant story. I love that. I don't think anyone's ever told me that they've had to clean shit to get a guitar.
There you go.
You really wanted it. That was it.
Oh, I did.
Yeah. And how did it get stolen?
Okay, so a few years later, believe it or not, I was a band geek. I played trumpet, and I would just take it. I was such a music junkie that I think by my senior year, I was probably only taking 2 legit like classes, maybe a chemistry and English or something, and everything else was band. I was in the marching band, I was in the symphonic band, and in by that point in the marching band, I was the drum major. I was the guy that would conduct the band. I was the worst drum major they ever had. I was horrible, and then I played trumpet in the symphonic band. And one of the bands was the jazz band. And initially, I was doing trumpet there, and then it occurred to me, hey, let's do guitar in jazz band. So I didn't have any other guitar but that kind of very metal-looking Ibanez at the time, and so it was kind of funny. You know, you're trying to play this Ted Green, or you're trying to play like jazz, legit jazz stuff on this metal guitar. So that was kind of funny. So I left it at the school a lot because I would have to walk home. And on this one occasion, I actually left it to go to the David Lee Roth concert that night. He was doing the Skyscraper tour. And I wanted to see Steve Vai so bad because I'm such a massive Steve Vai fan. And it was kind of worth it in the end because they were playing Panama, and I still have it somewhere. He was playing the solo to Panama, and where I was standing was perfect, and he played the solo right in front of me, and he got done and he threw the pick. I caught the pick. I still have Steve Vai's Skyscraper era pick.
You told him that?
I've never met him. I would love to meet him.
You need to be like Bonamassa and get your own talk show, and then you can just meet all your men.
Be like, who wants to do it? Myles? I don't know who Myles is. But yeah, so I got back to school the next day, and somebody stole my guitar. So it was a drag. Okay,
so then you had to go and clean more poo to get another poo.
Yes.
I'll feel your pain. God, this is a really easy journey for me compared to your one.
Well, yeah. So what got you to want to, what's the genesis of you wanting to play?
Obviously, I interview all you guys. I've done it for years, and I've always wanted to play, but I just never had the time. Like, I've always been really obsessed with guitar parts in a song. It's always what I've been drawn to. And I just was like, lockdown happened in April, and I was like, right, that's it. I've got the time. I'm doing this.
Perfect.
And so I started having guitar lessons on Zoom. And then I thought, actually, I can combine the two. I can do this show and chat to guitarists about their guitar journey. And it has saved me. But, you know, we've all been through the worst times in our life right now. And this has been, I can't stress enough how much learning to play an instrument just completely clears your head mentally. It's the most amazing thing I've ever done. So it's been fantastic.
Bravo. Yeah. I could not agree with you more.
Yeah, and of course, I'm never going to be anything like you guys. You know, I'm that's not what I'm aspiring to be. I just love just noodling and doing my own little thing. You know, it's great, it's fun. And because I think something that you do, which is amazing as well, is you have your Future Song Foundation as well.
Correct.
So, I mean, obviously, why did you want to do that? I mean, I think I know why you might have wanted to, but.
Because you just articulated it beautifully. Look, having music in my life and a way to play it and a way to learn it gave me direction. It helped me find who I was. It helped me establish my identity as a human being. It kept me out of trouble. And you know, you beautifully articulated how these are tough times right now. You're kind of trying to figure out what to do, and you find this productive new talent to essentially cultivate. And you find that in doing so, it gives you purpose, and it makes you want to get up, and it makes you happy, and it stimulates, massive dopamine rushes, and it's great. And so I think that for me is why, when my wife and I initially talked about wanting to do something for our community over 5-6 years ago, before we met with like-minded individuals here where I live and put this thing together, it just made sense because I knew the impact that it had in my life. And knowing, I don't know how it is where you are, but in the United States, they started cutting music programs, the funding and whatnot, many years ago. So in a lot of schools, you don't even have music programs anymore, and it's a total drag. So wanted to make sure that there are ways for people to, if they wanted to play music, that they could get an instrument. And now we've even been able to set up scholarships at the local, music school, which is where I went to school. And it's just trying to help out where we can here.
Is it right that your guitar teacher from when you were a kid, he's involved in it as well?
Joe Brash, the man.
Do you still have lessons from him?
You know what? I would like to. I kind of feel like I need to brush up on some of the techniques that he showed me. He's amazing. I mean, we were all so lucky to have this guy in our community. He's so good, and he just was just this wealth of information and music theory, and he was great. And he was he still is. He's a rock star, and he's got this thing. And even to this day, when we have meetings, there's part of me, it's like, oh, it's Joe. You go back to, I feel like I'm 17 again in music school, and it's like, he's so cool.
I know, that's nice that you get to feel like that still. And what made me feel really great was, I think you posted it on Instagram, that you were watching YouTube tutorials from Eric Johnson. I was like,
the man.
Hey, like, if Myles is still learning, then that's all right. It's great. It's great that you don't ever get to a point where you feel like, right, I've learned everything I need to learn now. I'm done.
No, I'll never get to that point. I mean, I think that so many who's like that is Tremonti. Mark is very, very hungry still. So that was one of the things that when I first started playing with Alter Bridge, that I appreciated about him is before the shows, he was always learning somebody else's solo, slowing the solo down and learning their licks and trying to absorb whatever information, asking me things about theory, because I was this theory guy, and he's a sponge. He wants to continue to evolve, and I think that's really important. And I don't think a lot of people realize how many guitar players who they assume have kind of stopped their journey. A lot of guitar players are still just wanting to learn because they understand that's how you become better.
Yeah, and I love it that you all admire other guitar players as well. It's not kind of you're out trying to outdo each other. You're like, oh my God, he's brilliant, and you embrace that rather than being really competitive and bitchy. And it's cool. It's a cool little club.
It's a fun club. I highly recommend it. Guitar playing, it's rad. That sounds like some really horrible T-shirt. It's rad.
Yeah. Is it true? This is so funny when I read this, and I was like, no, surely not. Before you started playing guitar, were you in an air guitar band?
Yeah.
No.
that was a thing.
Oh my God.
That was a thing back in the 80s, and I actually recently just did an interview with someone, and I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I'm going to find it and I'm going to post a picture of it on the Insta, as the kids say. On Insta, is it Insta? I don't know. But there's a piece of plywood that a gentleman at my dad's church cut a shape of a guitar and gave it to me. And so a few of my friends and I, before I actually could play for real, we would have these air band shows. And it was ridiculous, it was just completely, just kids being kids. I'm glad you brought that up, because other than that afternoon when I heard Eruption and Whole Lotta Love, the other crucial moment was when I was camping with my family, and we were sitting around the campfire, and I was talking to my dad, number two, Glenn, about how excited I was. Oh, we're going to do this air band show. It's going to be great. I'll never forget that. He was putting a log on the fire, and he stands up and he just turns around and he looks at me and kind of cocks his head and says, "Son, why don't you just learn how to play for real?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." And so that all, it was all that same summer with hearing those songs, and then that probably happened a few weeks later. So yeah, I was guilty of airbanding for a while.
I never went down that route. I should have done it, I think. I mean, yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, I bet. I know that they do competitions. I think they do them at Download or something as well, which is nuts. But yeah. So is there anything you can show me on the guitar?
I sure can. I would love to. So, all right.
Have you taught before?
I'm sorry?
You taught before as well. Did you used to teach?
Oh, yeah. I taught for years. So I was not really wanting to cut my hair in high school and early on. And that was such a big thing. If you wanted a job at a restaurant, they would make you cut your hair. And I was like, well, I want to be a musician, and it's part of the thing. So I had the bright idea of starting to teach my friends how to play guitar. And then that eventually blossomed into an actual, that was what I did. I would play at night and do studio work. And then during the day, I would teach. And I did that for years and years and years. I taught. And I loved it because I felt like it made me a better player. I actually was teaching. So I did the Mayfield 4 in the late 90s, and then I toured and did that. And then after that kind of ran its course in 2001, I started teaching again, I think late 2001 or early 2002. So I was teaching right up until, I started playing with Alter Bridge. Yeah. So teaching is fun. And I'm going to show you something that totally, I felt like it was the keys to the kingdom in a lot of ways as a guitar player. Now, I'm sure you've probably tried to play, the standard chords, or you've seen people do that. And that initially can be kind of a challenge to get comfortable with that and move your fingers around comfortably. But there's something that when I started playing, I don't know if they still call it that, is referred to as the power chord, now, are you familiar with the power chord?
I tried a bit of Iron Man, which kind of power chords, doesn't it? But I haven't gone into power chords yet. That is where I want to go next. So this is good. Okay, I've done my 25 chords, so I know those, and I know a few scales.
Perfect.
My next mission. So.
All right. Well, I'm here to help. Here to help the best I can. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your index finger, and I'm going to have you put that on the 5th fret.
Yeah.
Right there on the E string, the thickest one. And then you're going to take your ring finger and put it on the 7th fret on the A string.
The A string is the 5th string?
Right, 5th, exactly. And you can make it fancy and have the octave below, but for now, let's just keep it really simple. So just those two.
And then I only strum the 2 strings as well.
Just the 2 strings.
Okay.
Perfect. What's
it called?
This would be an A power chord, is what I refer to this as. Now, what you should do with the flesh of your index finger here is, as you're pressing down on that low E string on the 5th fret, kind of keep those muting those other strings so they don't ring out. Otherwise, you're going to get, and it's going to sound weird. But if you can just focus on hitting those bottom 2 strings, the E and the A.
Almost bar chord, like bar.
Almost. A little bit. You just don't want to press down, because then it'll turn into a bar chord.
Does that sound all right?
That's perfect. That's beautiful. Now, what you can do is you can take that same shape and you can drop it down to the A string on the 5th fret, right? And then the D string, which is the string right underneath that, on the 7th fret. So you're keeping the same shape. Perfect. And then now move it. I'm doing this for a reason while I'm showing you these three. Then you're going to take it and move it up 2 frets towards you to the 7th fret.
On the same line, yeah.
Exactly.
Up and across, or just across?
You're just going to move it like to your right 2 frets. Yeah. That's it.
Okay. So that was, let me go from the top.
Perfect. Okay, so now we add our right hand into the equation. We're going to play a song from this. And you just go 1, 2, 3 with the first chord. So go back to the 5th fret on the E string. Yeah. Right, and then right. So, but if you do change the rhythm just a little bit, you might recognize this song. I'll play it. I'll play what it sounds like. So it's Louie Louie.
Oh, is it Louie? Yeah. What is it? Is it Go? I thought that was Go. You Really Got Me Going.
It's pretty close. They all those songs kind of had the same sort of thing. Even Wild Thing, you know. But this is just a very elementary version of those where you can just use just those 2 fingers to get comfortable and kind of liberate you and get, you can play a few songs with this.
So, okay, do that again for me, please.
Okay, so we'll stick with Louie Louie. So it's, I'll move this up so you can see it. So it's 1, 2, 3. So try that. Good. And then just 1, 2 on the next one. And then 1, 2, 3 on the next one. And then back down. Da-na.
And then back up to there. Oh, there. Down.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay, almost. You're really close. All you have to do is move this one down instead of starting over here. So you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So move that back down to the 5th fret on the A string and the D string.
Okay, so not up. Right. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Is that 3 in there? I can't remember now.
Yep, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yep, and then 2, and then back, and then starts all over.
Okay, cool. Amazing.
Amazing. You're amazing.
I know the power chords now.
Power chord. Power chord.
That is brilliant. Thank you so much. I can't believe you gave me my first power chords pretty much there. That's great.
Well, my pleasure. For me, that was a big one because once I understood that, because it's basically like I look at it as not to get too theory geeky, but it's like an ambiguous chord in the sense that it's not a major chord or a minor chord. You have notes from those. It's kind of like, here would be just an A major bar chord, right? You can do it like that, but this is just the simple way where when you're first starting to play, if you just take off those top strings and just have, that way at least you can get familiar with the rhythm and just, have some fun.
Will, thank you so much. That's great.
My pleasure.
What's happening with Alter Bridge and Slash?
Well, as far as Alter Bridge, we've got, what is today, Thursday? We have an EP that is coming out tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, called Walk the Sky 2.0. So it's since we couldn't tour as much as we would have liked, we took a bunch of tracks that we were from the new record, and we have the live versions of those. So if you couldn't make it to the show, you can listen to what that might have sounded like. We have one new track on there as well that we managed to finish during the lockdown via the power of technology, and I was able to finish vocals here in my studio and then ship the files off to Elvis to mix. So that's in the pipeline there. And as far as Slash Conspirators, we'll see how it all plays out. Hoping to have new music, sooner than later. So A lot of moving parts, and then and next year as well, hoping to get that solo record out.
There's going to be a lot of great music next year, isn't there? I think so.
I think that's what's going to come from all this is everybody's at home or wherever, and they have nothing else to do other than create. So there's going to be a lot of new tunage.
Spending the most time they've ever spent on an album in their lives because they don't have the time to do that because they're like in and out on the tour, aren't they? So
Exactly.
6 months later on the same album. That's good. It's all good. Myles, thank you so much. It's really good to see you again, and I actually can't wait to finish this call so I can go and practice some more.
Yes, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you. I'm glad you're doing this. I think you're gonna enjoy it. I don't know what life would be without the guitar.